All right. All right. So, welcome to Financial Horizon. My name is Kimberly Stephens-Brown. I am the Senior Financial Representative for First Horizon Bank right here in downtown Columbia. I am also a proud alum of Benedict College, and I am elated to speak with you all. Thank you so much, Director Shauna Cooper of the Benedict College Women's Business Center and her amazing staff. I am just excited to pour into the same community that has poured into me for so many years. So let's, without further ado, speak about your finances. You will hear me throughout this presentation speak about your finances in a perspective of personal as well as your business. So on today's agenda, we will be talking about budgeting, credit, and savings. Under budgeting, we'll be talking about your budgeting basics, budgeting tools, financial priorities, the SMART method in action, credit, your credit score, factors that impact your credit score, where you stand with your credit score, building new credit, repairing your credit, and controlling your debt. We'll round up with savings. Your savings adds up and creating a savings plan. So let's kick it off with budgeting. What is a budget? A budget is a plan you write down to decide how you will spend your money each month. A budget helps you make sure you will have enough money every month. Just a little backstory. I remember growing up when I was younger, my parents every other Sunday or Saturday with their morning coffee, morning teas, usually around the 1st and the 15th of the month. They would sit down. My mom would have this huge word processor, and my dad will collect all of the bills stacked up, and they would literally discuss their budget. They would literally talk about everything that they needed to spend as far as their house, how to sustain the kids, how to sustain household goods, groceries, gas. Literally every month I remember them speaking that and talking over like I said, their coffee and their teas. And it was just something that we knew. We understood it and we got it. That was something that our my parents poured into us. A late bill is a bad bill. That's what my dad used to always tell me. If you pay your bills late, you're not on track. So budgeting is very, 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 very intuitive, especially in personal and your business. So a budget shows you how much money you make and how much you will spend and how you spend your money. So how do you use your budget? At the beginning of the month, you need to make a plan how you will spend your money for that month. Personally, when you make this budget, if you know that you're going to have the same reoccurring bills, especially like in your business, you know that you have either rent for the building that you're in, or you have your goods that you're either processing or selling. You have to retain those in your retention. You also want to note this. Every time you spend this money, every time it's coming in and out, you want to always make sure that you note it so that you can definitely specify, write it down each month. So if it's reoccurring, you already know that you got to take that out of your budget and put it in and make sure that it aligns with your overall goal, which is to run a successful business or have a successful financial, financial side of your lifestyle. So you need to write down what you spend. Try to do this every day. So if you're a business owner, new entrepreneur, you're coming into your business fresh, you know how much it, it takes each day to run your business. So make sure that you're writing down your income to basically your income to debt ratio every day. What you used and what you spent and what it's going to take to do it the next day. At the end of the month, you see if you spent what you planned. So if you have a budget, say of $1,000 that is going to sustain your business for the entire month, you want to make sure that you stay on plan and on mark with that $1,000 sustaining you. So if you know that you went over, you're at the end of the month and you spent $1,400 instead of $1,000, you know that you need to go back and rewrite that budget. You need to make sure that it's aligned and stays within that budget and that plan. You're going to use the information to help you plan for the next month. So with business, I know business may go up, it may go down. Sometimes you are going to have a busy time in the month. Sometimes you're going to have more of a layback and just, I'm making it do. And then you're going to have those times where, it's just slow. just depending on what you sell or what you're doing. It will help you if you set a line in the business and know the goals that you have set as far as that budget. It will keep you aligned. Ready? Next slide for me. Alrighty. To make a budget, you can use a plethora of tools. The best advice that I can give you as far as making your budget is find something that is user friendly. As you can see, this is an example of a budgeting tool. It's very basic. It has my expenses for the month. You write the month at the top, the year, and then you just literally go into your expenses. You start off with what you know that you are your income is, whether it is for your business or if this is personal. You should know your monthly income and you break it down for your monthly expenses. At the top, it should always have what is going to reoccur. So personally, you have rent. Business, if you are renting a space or if you have a booth, you have that rent that you have to pay every month. The expenses that it takes to actually sustain that business. So, if, for example, if you're a cosmetologist, you know that you're going to need the shampoo, the hair, the all this stuff. This should go into your monthly expenses, something that's going to reoccur. Gas to and from work, gas to and from your business. If you have a work vehicle, how much does it cost monthly to sustain that vehicle? Your insurance. So these are monthly reoccurring bills that you can literally start a budgeting budgeting tool with. There's also a lot of, I know everybody wants things in the palm of their hands. You have Quicken Books, you have Microsoft Excel Business, Treasury Management at your local banks. There's literally someone that sits behind a treasury management computer and actually can unfold your personal expenses and your business expenses. And it also helps at the end of the year when you're getting ready, especially as a business owner, to do your taxes. So you already have everything aligned, what you spent, what you owe, how much it takes to continue that business and sustain it. So you want to use that worksheet or that tool to show and see how much money you spend each month. So you're going to use that same information monthly, whether if you're, like I said, personal or business. Some bills, monthly bills, they come less than often, and business as well. Sometimes you may have to pay certain taxes during your business, depending on what type of business you have. Those may come annually. Those may come maybe once a year or once a quarter. You would actually put those when you're doing your budget. You would put those in the other category. So it's not something that will reoccur each month, but you know on the months that it'll reoccur, or if it's an annual fee, you know that you'll either pick it up at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year. Prime example: your car taxes, your house taxes, business taxes. You only pay them once a year. Alrighty, so make sure that your budget is aligned. Next slide for me. So your financial priorities. Financial priorities after you review all everything that you make as far as your revenue and your capital for your business or personally, whatever you make monthly, you have to sit down and you need to make sure where your financials take priority. So after reviewing your budget, you want to start thinking about your financial priorities or goals. You want to at least pick three. I say three because three is an easy number. It's something that you can rely back to. I only have three priorities. Beginning of your business, your first priority should be, finding your target audience and for figuring out what you need as a business owner to sustain that priority audience, that clientele that you know that you come to love and they love your products or your business. Another financial priority, how much it would take to continue to sustain that type of business and sustain that type of clientele that you have. And then lastly, if you are new to business and you haven't started your business, what does it take to start the business? That could be another one of your financial priorities. Then you're going to rank them one through three. Which one takes the highest rank? The second one, which one it takes another a piece of your time, and then lastly, what is something that it's a priority, but it's not number one or two. And then you're just going to write down your reasons why. Why are you making these your financial priorities, especially as a business owner? Why are these top three in your financial priorities? The SMART method. Some people have heard of the SMART method, some people have not. So the SMART method is a method that you can use to sustain your priorities or your financial goals. Starting with S, specific. Make your financial goals specific so that you have a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish. So if you're writing out your three priorities and your three financial goals, you want to make sure that they are aligning with what your overall goal is. And as an entrepreneur, your overall goal is to run a successful business. Measurable. Make your financial goals measurable by finding ways to quantify your progress. Think about how much or how often you do X, Y, and Z, and then track your progress. Always make sure that you track your progress, because then you won't have to go back to do the work. You won't have to go back to remember how much something cost you, or why is it my budget aligning, because I'm running out of money. I have money, but I'm running out of money too. Like I have it to sustain, but I'm not being successful. So make sure that your financial goals are measurable. Make sure that you can sustain them. Make sure that you are able to make sure you remember what you've done and what it takes to get there. Achievable. You should be careful not to set goals that may be impossible to achieve. So, as a new entrepreneur or business owner, you don't want to set a goal of saying right out the gate, I'm gonna make $1 million on my first year of business. And some, this might be sustainable. This might be achievable. But in reality, you want to make sure that your financial priorities and your goals are achievable. They are in arm's reach. So if you do the work, they will be achievable. And you also want to make sure that they're relevant. Is your goal worthwhile? On those days when you're trying to push through, or you're trying to figure out if you really want to be an entrepreneur, or if you want to continue to sustain that business, make sure that you are able to get through the harsh times. A lot of times we set ourselves up with these goals and we're like, okay, I'm halfway there, but I'm not feeling the or seeing the end mark or the end of the race. I don't see my business being successful, especially as an entrepreneur myself. When I first started out in banking, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. It was cool as a teller, but I didn't know. But I set a goal to say, hey, not only am I going to be a teller, I'm going to be the best teller. I'm going to get to know my clientele. So I set up goals for myself that eventually I met each mark and became successful and was able to go back to school and to do all of these things. So make sure that your financial priorities and goals are relevant and that you are looking at them as full circle, even in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then lastly, a timeline. Most goals need deadlines. Sometimes we will set goals and we'll say, hey, you know what? Maybe, hmm, maybe I'll reach this in 6 months. 6 months comes around and we haven't met it. And it is okay to extend that time frame, but make sure that you have set eyes on that financial goal. Make sure that that goal is being met, even if you have to extend yourself just a little bit further outside of that 6 month time frame. Make sure that you are still fixated on the end goal, which is to run a successful business. The SMART method in action. Goals can sometimes feel really daunting. Sometimes you can set a goal for yourself. For example, I said that I wanted to come out and I wanted to reach and teach everyone financial literacy this year. Okay, that's happening. I'm doing it bit by bit. I had a goal of at least meeting 30 to 40 companies within the first quarter. So the first quarter officially ended yesterday. I met with 14 companies out of the maybe 60 that I reached out to. And at first I was like, I don't see myself doing 100 this year. But then I thought about it. It's just the first quarter. That means the first 3 months, if I took that 14 and I divided it through those 3 months, that means I met about three or four companies per month. and yet I still sit in a office setting. So I was able to not reach the quote goal of 30 or 40 companies, but I did reach a goal of saying, hey, you know what? I wasn't bound to my chair every day. I didn't sit back and say, hey, just because I met these 14, but these 14 companies that I've reached out to, they have made me reach a goal that was at like out of this world as far as revenue, deposits, new to bank businesses, and just meeting overall new, fresh ideas as far as entrepreneurs. So in reality, I may not have met the goal of meeting 40 companies, but I did meet the goal of exceeding the goals that are actually set for me in my job and in my role. So you want to always make sure that you are setting the overall long-term goal, the second short-term goal, and then the third goal. My example, my long-term goal was 30 to 40 companies. My short-term goal was if I meet with these companies, I want to at least turn over at least 15 or 20 new to banks. I exceeded that goal and did 25. And my second short term goal was all right, once I get these new to banks, I want to see if there's any entrepreneurs there at these companies that I'm speaking at. And I want to open at least 5 or 6 small new business accounts. And guess what? I ended up opening 8. Okay, that is the smart method in action. So our next topic, credit. I usually say dreaded credit because a lot of people hear credit and they cringe. They want to run. They don't have a heart for it. They don't want to hear it. A lot of people don't really know where they stand as far as credit. Some people say, "Oh, my credit stinks," but how do you know that until you take a deeper dive? So, your credit score. A credit score is a prediction of your credit behavior, such as how likely you are to pay a loan back on time based on information from your credit report. Alrighty, so there's several different stages of credit. You have poor, you have fair, you have good, you have very good, you have excellent. Like I stated, a lot of people don't know where they stand as far as their credit. And with business, credit is a different type of feel as far as your personal. So when you're beginning a business and you're a new entrepreneur, most banks are not ready to lend to a brand new business. Way back when, I remember my dad. My dad is been in business for now 33 years. He's an HVAC tech, and I have seen him from ground up build his business. And I remember him and my mom discussing a business plan. And I was like, a business plan? Like, what is that? I remember when banks used to actually have people who looked at business plans. And that used to be enough to sustain, like, hey, a small loan. Because they literally took the coulda, woulda, shoulda of your capital, what you thought that business was going to make, and said, hey, I believe if we loan them this money and they make this revenue, then they can have this loan. Not anymore. Banks want to see, as far as business, what you have done. What have you capitalized on? What would you have to bring to the table? Like, what have you done? So a lot of times with entrepreneurs and new businesses and small businesses, they use your personal credit. So if your personal credit is not aligned, that means that you will never be able to sustain business credit. A lot of people don't know that your personal goes hand in hand with your business, especially in the beginning. If you haven't brought in any revenue or have any capital, banks 9 out of 10 times they're going to say, hey, so since your business isn't up to par, we can't see at least 2 years of W-2s or any type of revenue or capital, they're going to look for your personal credit. So your personal credit scores are calculated from information about your credit accounts. That data is gathered by credit reporting agencies, also called credit bureaus, and compiled into your credit reports. The three largest bureaus are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Let me repeat that. The three largest bureaus are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I have to stress this because a lot of people hear these three bureaus, and some have heard of them, some have not. But the first thing they ask me is, "What about Credit Karma? What about the free sites? What about the web apps? Where? What about I have Chime, and they tell me about my credit all the time. Like if I pay a bill, all right, those are great. They are great. But honestly, they're giving you an approximate. They're not giving you the actual credit score. It may be higher, it may be lower. But these are the three bureaus that you can actually check. And if these companies are aligned with these bureaus, of course, yes, it is reporting correctly. But the three bureaus that you actually want to, if you really want to know where you stand as far as your credit score, will be Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion.
Wait, is there any one of the three that First Horizon leans on more or not the case?
Yes. That would be Equifax. Yes. Yes. TransUnion usually that's usually with more of like the cars and mortgages. Usually that's more of a deeper dive. That's more like a almost close to like a 1099. They want to really dig deeper. So usually we use Equifax that is close with what we call considered check systems. A lot of people don't understand that denial from for personal accounts or business accounts comes from the soft credit check that banks do. Now, it does not leave a ding on your credit. It does not affect your credit, but it does give us an alignment of okay, if we give this person an account or we are willing to do a business account or anything like that, it gives us an approximate of all right, is this person going to be a person that we can lend in loan to once they ask for it or once they are requesting it or requiring it. So that is where the host of, okay, so let me get this information from you before prior to opening an account, whether it's business or personal. So factors that impact your credit score. Payment history. A misstep in making an on-time payment can be costly. A late payment that is 30 days or more past due, its due date stays on your credit history for years. I say this and people look at me and they're like, what? Just one missed payment? Yes, that one missed payment can ding your credit for years. And I love when I hear other people say, oh, well, I heard it falls off at 7. Mm-mm. No, it rolls over to collection. And then in collections, they still collect interest. Like it doesn't stop, it's reoccurring. It continues. It's going to pop up, whether it's now or later, it's going to pop up. And with starting out a business and being an entrepreneur, your payment history is gonna mean a lot to a bank. If they pull you up and they're saying, well, the reason why we have to deny your account is because we see that you owe all of the banks on the East Coast, that's going to be an issue. So remember those one or two missed payments, they stay on your credit history for years. Credit utilization. This term describes how much your credit limit you're using. I always tell people to think of your credit as a pie. Okay, so we all love pie. We all love a piece of cake or some sweets. So you have this whole pie sitting in front of you. Now I'm going to use the term that some of the younger generation is using right now. You don't want to be a big bag when it comes to the pie. So if that's your credit and your credit is a pie, you don't want to eat the whole credit. I mean the piece of pie. You don't want to eat that the whole piece. You want to just have a slither. When you're referring to your credit, you don't want to use more than 30% of your credit limits. Okay? So utilize less than 30%. All right? So you don't want to have a $300 security card and you've already used the first swipe, 297 of it. You want to use 30% or less of your credit limits. Your credit history. The longer you have credit and the higher average age of your accounts, the better your score. So that means the longer you have your credit cards, the longer you have that line of credit with your bank or credit union, the better. It works even more because it shows your loyalty. It shows that, hey, this person has had this credit line for this long, is paid off or is paid up, or at least it doesn't have any lingering, interest on it. It shows that you're loyal. It shows that, hey, we can trust this person with this type of loan or this type of credit card. Mixed credit. Mixed credit is a scores rewards having more than one type of credit. A traditional loan, as far as a car loan, and then a credit card or a mortgage and a line of credit. Is that those are mixed credits. So business credit, personal credit card, mixed credit. Um, how recently and often you have applied for credit. And this is a big one. A lot of people think because you get denied one place, it's best to go to another place right after. It's not always good. The more you do to your credit, the more you have to pull it, the more it is exposed, the worse. You don't ever want to expose your credit more than once, maybe 3 times a year. And that's with applying or getting an extension or raising your credit limits. All of that all applies. So you don't want to constantly go different places or different avenues to apply for credit, because like I said, every time they open your credit, that is dropping your credit score. That is putting what we call in banking a ding on your credit. So you don't want to constantly pull your credit score. Where do you stand? Review your credit report annually to understand where you stand, and to ensure that there are no inaccuracies. So when you're reviewing your credit, you want to make sure that once a year that you do review your credit and you actually have a full credit report pulled, make sure that you go and itemize it. Make sure that you take the time to really dig deep. And if you don't understand, ask the necessary questions, because there are times that people have found inaccuracies with their credit and had to dispute it. I know for a fact, dealing with a few of my clients here at office, I've had women and men tell me that, hey, an ex spouse of mine or one of my kids opened a credit card under my social, and I had no idea until I started getting the payments in the mail. And they literally had to dispute it. Or one digit of their social was added to someone else's, and it pulled their credit instead of the person that they truly was trying to pull. So those are inaccuracies that do need to be discussed. And like I said, once a year, annually pull your credit and say, hey, I want a full credit report and I want to literally go through and check these. Reviewing your credit report for each of the three major bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, at least once a year helps you spot the problems. So, like I stated, once a year, go ahead and either spend the money, or if you can find a free way, because I know sometimes your credit unions and banks can offer a free option as far as pulling your credit and get a full credit check. Make sure you do that, and you look thoroughly so that you can, pick out or figure out if there's any problems or discrepancies. Annualcreditreport.com is the only authorized source for free credit reports, which consumers are entitled to by federal law. So I'm going to say it again, annualcreditreport.com. It's free by law. You can have it. Okay? So building new credit. So if you are a new entrepreneur and you have not either established credit or have a credit history, and yes, I have to say this as well, you can be denied for a actual um, loan or credit card because you don't have the credit history. Because they, like I said, it's all about trusting and knowing if you're going to be able to pay it back. Your age plays a factor sometimes, and then also just not having credit. Some people just don't use it. Some people wait until they're of age and say, "Hey, you know what? I think I finally want a credit card." And not having a credit or any type of credit in the past can hinder you or decline, have you decline for any type of credit or line of credit. So apply for a secure credit card. A secure credit card is a type of credit card that requires a security deposit to open the account. Literally, a secured credit card is using your own money, your own pledge to better your credit, to establish your credit. So literally, you will open some type of either a checking or savings. Usually, it's a savings account, and you will pledge that amount of whatever you want. Say if it's $300, you will pledge that $300, and that $300 is used to open a credit line for $300. So you literally would use your credit card just like it was a regular unsecured card, and you'll pay it back. And the more you pay it back, and the longer you keep that secured card, the better your credit. So it's literally making your money work for you and keeping you on a credit line, which is great. I believe that starting out when you don't have credit, a secured credit card is better than jumping out of here and just opening an unsecured credit card and getting a credit allotment of $5,000 and you're not making $5,000 or you're not able to sustain that $5,000, especially if you max that card out or that line of credit out. Use your credit card for daily expenses. Use your credit to pay for groceries, gas, items that are allowed in your budget. For me, for example, I use my credit card every time I go out of town. Because I know that my my job will eventually pay it back, but also it helps me with being reminded that I still do have this line of credit, and even if I don't use it, I'm still paying like a monthly stipend for it being open. So I might as well use it. Um, and like I said, it can be on something as small as a $50 grocery bill or $60 worth of gas, and that can be sustained and paid within that 28 to 30 day turnover until it becomes interest prorated. Get credit for bills that you already pay. Boost your credit. Experience boost. This service lets you get credit for paying your monthly utilities, your cell phone, streaming bills, service bills, any type of bills that are consistently based. I know that my internet is tied through it. If you have AT&T, they're tied through it. It's just you are literally using your credit to boost your credit score. So whatever you already monthly pay for, just use it. Just go ahead and pay it off. And every month, get on. If you download the Experience Boost, or if you have products and services and they already use Experience Boost, sign up for it. It's usually whenever you start a new cell phone or anything, it's listed on your account. We just don't pay attention to it because we're not knowledgeable about it and we don't understand why. If you pay rent, a lot of the renters and mortgagees, they use Experience Boost to boost your credit, especially when you're renting, because the overall goal where you're renting is to become a home buyer eventually. So they actually have these Experience Boosts tied into your monthly bills and payments. Become an authorized user. One of my favorites that I love to tell parents when their kids are getting ready to go off to college or ending their senior year in high school, I always state, allow your child to become an authorized user on one of your credit cards. It'll boost their credit, and then also you'll know what they're spending while they're away for college. As an authorized user, you can piggyback off of primary account holders. So that means mom, dad, or if you are a new and emerging entrepreneur, go ahead and piggyback off someone that already has the established credit or the established credit line. Become an authorized user. That helps them boost their credit and you establish or boost your credit. Keep an eye out on credit utilization. Back to the 30%. Make sure that you maintain your credit utilization below 30% or less. Like I said, you don't want to eat the whole pie. Just a slice. That's all you need. A slice, and that's it. So just a little bit of your credit goes a long way. Don't ever, 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 ever go above that 30% because then you're out of your credit comfort zone, and then you're looking to how you're going to pay it back, how you're going to sustain it, and how I'm going to keep my interest down. So always utilize 30% or less of your credit. Stick to your budget. It is as simple as put. Stick to your budget. Don't ever go outside of your budget. And if you do, go back to the drawing board with your budget. Always remember the overall goal. And as entrepreneurs, the overall goal is to run a successful business, not a functional business, because functional business, they are just making it month by month, day by day. A successful business is making it, sustaining it, and seeing the revenue and the capitalization at the end of the year. So there's a fine line there, functional and then successful. So repairing your credit. If you have utilized your credit, especially those at a younger age that get those credit cards in the mail when they're first turning 18 or 21, and you kind of ran rapid with it, you didn't keep it in check, you kind of relied like all over the place with your credit, or you went to one day you went to your credit your credit union or your bank and they offered you a credit card or stated that hey you have 0% interest for the first 12 months, that's one of the best ones, and you used it for those 12 months, you didn't pay it back, and you're now in a credit debacle and you are trying to repair your credit. Here are a few credit repairing steps and tips. Dispute your credit report errors. As I stated earlier on, if you have any discrepancies or you get your yearly or annually credit report and you see something that is not you or something that has occurred and you're like, oh, that wasn't me, I need to dispute that, or I paid that down and I had the receipts and something was missing, make sure that they're accurate. Reach out to the credit bureaus as well as whoever you had that line of credit with. Avoid applying for new credit. If you know that your credit is not up to par or it's not where you would like it, especially as a new or emerging entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you avoid going from bank to bank or establishing multiple lines of credit, especially when you're trying to repair your credit, because that is just going to put you in more debt. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna sustain you. It's not gonna rebuild your credit. It's going to hinder you. Keep your unused credit accounts open. A lot of times people want to close off that credit card when it is non and void, when you have a zero balance. That goes back to the loyalty factor with establishing and keeping good credit. You don't ever want to just close out a credit card just because, oh, I don't use it anymore. Well, you don't use it anymore. If you want to pay that little $2 or $3 that they charge you just to keep it open monthly, use it. It's okay. That little service fee is not going to hurt you. Keep that line of credit because you never know when you're going to use it. And then also, if you are, like I said, entrepreneur or trying to grow your business, you may need a larger line of credit. They can go back and say, well, we tried to give you, you had an established credit line with us, but you closed it out. So banks are looking at that, and creditors are looking at that. Their loan officers are looking at that. They want to see that you are keeping those unused credit accounts open. Maintain a low credit utilization rate and pay off debt. So if you didn't listen and you decided to eat the whole pie instead of a slice, then it's going to affect you. You don't want to utilize all of your credit at one time. You don't want to put, like the old wise tell you, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want to make sure that you're keeping your credit utilization under 30% or less. Bring back past due account currents. Like bring up your past dues. If you are past due 30 days that is one full payment or a full payment or a minimum payment plus the full payment just to bring it back. That's the only thing you have to do. Add that minimum payment and a full payment just to bring your credit back up to where it was supposed to be. Payments 30 days or more past due can be reported to your credit bureaus as late. So if you miss that payment, okay, I get it. We fall on hard times. We may have not have been thinking about it, or we just did not have the money at the time. You want to bring your past due credit current. You want to make it current. You don't ever want it to go past due, and then it's 30 days and then it's months. You don't ever want that to happen. That can definitely hinder your credit. And lastly, get your credit counseling. Here at First Horizon, we don't just bank on being your relationship bankers. We want to bring counsel that will bring the capital that you deserve and desire, especially as entrepreneurs and business owners. You don't ever want to just go into a bank and feel like another number. You want to make sure that the person that you are speaking with, the representative that you're speaking with, has that motive of getting to know you personally, getting to know your business, getting to know your employees, your family, so that you can get the all around counsel that you deserve and desire, so that you can see that capital at the end. Controlling your debt. Part of your credit repair journey may be a control pay down debt. So start by listing out all of your debts and ranking your debts from smallest to largest balance. Usually with creditors, I mean with clients with their creditors, I always say, hey, if you are trying to reestablish your credit or to get your credit controlled and your debts controlled, write them out. Those same applications that I was stating earlier, as far as businesses, the QuickBooks, the Microsoft Excel, the Treasury Management, these can all help you with controlling your debt. You're going to write down the creditors that you owe, the current balance that you owe, and then the monthly payment. And I say write the monthly payment as though you're going to pay it off within a year. So have that monthly payment separated for 12 months. Okay, so if it's going to take you a year to pay that off, make sure that you are setting your monthly payments as though you're paying it off in a year. Lastly, we're going to round it up with savings. Savings adds up. So by this time next year, you could have an extra $1,300 in your savings, and all you need to start is $1. So if you look at the chart, you see the week matches the contribution. So if you're on week one, it's $1, two, $2, three, $3, and so forth. So by the time next year, if you started this month, is the first. It's a great time to start. You always can start on the first, and you stick to this plan, you will have $1,300 in savings. That's astronomical. And if you actually do this for your personal side and your business, you'll have $2,600. So it's very obtainable. A lot of people get down to the $52 and they're like, oh, that it really did happen. I actually challenged one of my clients to do this a couple of months ago, and she actually has an old photo album, and she's been putting her money in it. And I was just like, well, whatever makes you know you it makes sense to you, and it keeps you sustaining your savings, make it work. So every other week she's sending me a screenshot like, look, I'm on page 4, or look, I'm on page 5. So savings adds up. If you meet the 52-week money challenge, a simple plan that could help you turn a relative small weekly savings throughout the year into a tidy lump sum. And lastly, creating a savings plan. Understand your why. I have been saying why a lot throughout this document. You have to understand the reasoning why you're creating the budget, getting your credit together, and your savings. The why is to have a successful business. And the reason you're saving is to sustain that business. Also sustain your personal life. You know, your business helps your personal life. Your business helps you live. So figure out how much money you'll need to save for that overall goal, which is a successful business. How much it's going to take you to run a successful business every year. To divide the amount of money you want to save by the number of weeks, and you'll have to save it. This will be your weekly savings target. So here's an example: your savings goal. Save $1,000 for an example, um, for an emergency fund within 10 months, about 40 weeks. So the total amount you needed is $1,000. The weeks you are going to have to obtain this goal is 40 weeks. And the weekly amount to save is $25 a week. So If you get paid weekly or monthly, excuse me, bi-weekly, you can just divide that $25 up. It's not. It doesn't always have to be one lump. Everybody thinks like, oh my goodness, every time I get paid, I have to. Yeah, you can, or you can say, hey, for the month of April this month, I'm going to meet $25 a week, or $15 a week. It is whatever your savings goal is. Refer back to your budget if it's achievable. If your budget aligns and you have that $100 to $200 worth of savings left over, go back and say, hey, you know what? How am I going to divvy this up? Is this going to go into savings, or is there something else I need to buy for my business, or am I missing anything as far as retaining my business or keeping my business? Anytime you have extra funds, make sure you go back to look through your budget. But if that is truly extra funds, put it in your savings, out of sight, out of mind, and it will become a huge lump sum by the time you are done. So I believe that is the last slide.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly. This is really, really good. I do have a couple questions. Before
Yes.
I throw these questions out, I want to invite anyone from any participant, if they have a question or two or whatever, if you can come off the mic and mute yourself and ask Kimberly a question. I'll wait for a few seconds, and if no one comes off, then I answer mine. But I want to give our guest courtesy. Any questions from attendees? While they're thinking of questions, Kimberly, I have a couple. Uh,
Okay.
what's the first financial step someone who's considering starting a business should take?
Finding out your core audience, and how much it's going to take to sustain that. Usually with businesses, I tell people, how much does it cost for you to create or sustain that product that you or service that you're providing. Um, for instance, like I stated way in the beginning of the slideshow, if you were a cosmetologist, how much does it take to do that particular service, or how much does it cost for you to have that booth rent, or if you're in a salon or in a suite, how much does it take to obtain that and continue that creating that space for your clientele? So literally having a budget, making sure that you have everything you need to keep that business sustained.
And I know I said I had questions, but I'm gonna add one. What are some healthy financial practices that you see successful business owners implement?
The first is finding a relationship bank with a relationship banker. I know I said this before. There is a difference between a functional business and a successful business. Much like when you go to doctor, your doctor is there for counsel about your body and your medical needs. Your business banker and your relationship banker is there for your counsel and for your business and your personal life. Your banking needs lies within your relationship banker. So I would say relationship bank. Find a relationship bank, find a relationship banker so that they can counsel you to bring in that capital that you're going to be driven to get once you sit down and you speak with them and you obtain your business account, your business information. That is the best. That's the root of it all.
And another question is, uh, what should business owners consider when choosing a bank for their business?
Exactly what I stated. You want to go with a bank where you're not just another number. You don't want to go to a bank that they don't even know your first and last name or the nature of your business. You want to go to a bank that when you walk in there, hello, Miss Brown, how are you? How is the catering business? Oh man, I saw that you were parked outside of Sam's Club this weekend. I ran over to try to get you a drink. That's where you want to go. You want to go where you are going to receive the best of the best You don't want to go to a large name bank when you're just like, hey, what can I help you with today? You want to walk in the doors and you want them to know, hey, Miss Stevens-Brown, or hey, Miss Cooper, how are you? How is the Benedict Women's Business Center doing? How's your staff? So you want to bank where you are definitely not a number, but you are an asset and not a liability.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. Any questions from participants? And if any are coming off, Kimberly, can you let people know how to reach you? If you can say it and also put it in the
Oh,
chat, that would be great.
yes, I will. Send this in the chat. And
Okay.
I also see a question from
Right.
Michelle.
Yes.
Michelle, would I recommend credit unions? All right. So yes, I would recommend credit unions. I also would recommend those banks that you don't hear much about, such as First Horizon. We've been around for over 160 years, and a lot of people hear that and they're like, "What? Are you serious?" Yes, we used to be Capital Bank, not Capital One. A lot of people hear that and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, Capital One? No, I would never." But Capital Bank first and First Tennessee, but we are now First Horizon Bank, and we've been around for 160 years, and we literally pride ourselves on big bank reach but small bank roots. Okay, and this has been one of the first times that I've ever felt in my banking over the last almost over a decade now that it's not another number, not as an employee, not as clientele. And every client that I've met in my months being here, they have always come in and they've always applied that. Every time they walk in, whatever First Horizon, they always feel right at home. They know their name, they know their nature of their business, or if it's personal. Literally, I've seen some of my clients outside of my door as I speak, and they're waving at me. That's what you want to create. So yes, I definitely recommend credit unions because credit unions are smaller. I will say that they usually have better interest rates. I'm going to be honest. But go where you feel is that you're gonna get that counsel that you need.
Thank you, Kimberly. And how can people get in contact with you?
So I am actually located. If you prefer a personal touch, I absolutely love that. I can speak to anyone. I'm a chameleon. I have never met anybody that I don't like. So I'm actually downtown on Main Street, 1320 Main Street, Suite 175. I am in the Meridian building right across from Market on Main. If you know Market on Main, the restaurant, we are in that same building. I also can be reached via phone at 803-744-2372. That is my personal office number. You will reach me. I am here Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5. You can also reach me via email at Kim, Kim, period, Stevens, Stephens, hyphen Brown, like the color, at firsthorizon.com.
Again, thank you, Kimberly. This is great. I'm going to be reaching out to you shortly about next steps so we can have more of an interactive conversation where we provide questions, like a Q&A session, if you will. So stay tuned for that. And for those who joined us today, thank you for spending some time with the Benedict College Women's Business Center. And we hope this partnership with First Horizon and the information that was presented today will provide you with imminent action that you can take, whether it's on the personal finances or the business finances, something that you can begin right away. And we look forward to this continued partnership and having you join us in future webinars. The next webinar we have is on defining your ideal client. That will be on Tuesday, April 3rd, 2025 from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Till next time. Bye.